Hello, on this video I'm going to talk about the class attributes versus the instance attributes. From the past video I show you this graphic right here, and I just want to show you the difference between the class attributes and the instance attributes. So the class attribute is the one that comes right here from your class, from the pattern. The instance attribute is what the factory or the constructor creates for you. So each car here will have a different attribute. And the class attribute is a attribute that's shared among all these objects right here. And for this video, I'm going to talk about how you should use the class and the instance variable. Then I'm going to talk about how you should not use it. So let's take a look at some code now. So this is the class that I had from the last video. However, I'm going to oversimplify this just to be simpler for us to talk about this. So I'm going to delete this method. Then I'm going to delete all of these instances attributes. So I'm going to leave with just one attribute. And then right here on the class, I'm going to have just one attribute. So I have one instance attribute and one class attribute. And then right here in the bottom, I'm going to print this, the car type. But I'm going to print the car type using the instance. And then I'm going to print the car type again, but this time using the class. So these two here should give me the same value, but one I'm accessing through the instance and the other one I'm accessing through the class. And here on my main, I'm going to instantiate a object. And one of the objects is going to be car A and the other one is car B. And the color is aqua and blue for now. And here I just call the print car function just to print the two objects that I just created. So I'm going to run this program. And when I run, I get aqua from the car A. And then the car type is sports and sports. Now the car type here comes from the class attribute. And now I'm going to show you how you should use these attributes. Alright, so for us to use the attributes, you can get the attributes and you can set the value of the attribute. So first, let's get the value from the attribute. And this time I'm going to get it directly instead of going through a function to print them. So here I'm doing just basically the same thing I'm doing right here in this method, but I'm going directly to the value. So here I'm going to print the color and then the car type. So I'm going to run this program and I have the color and the car type. And it's printed twice because one I'm accessing through the instance and the other one I'm accessing through the class. And that's going to be very important pretty soon here in this video. Alright, so the next one is for us to change the instance attributes. So here I'm changing both. I'm going to comment it out this code now, because I just want to change the color of the car A for now. So I'm going to run this program. And when I run this program, I change the color of the car A from aqua to amber. And if you look right here, it changes from aqua to amber. Everything else remains the same, and the car B stays blue. If I commented out this line now, I run the code, and then car B got changed. So the whole point here of this code is that whenever you change a instance attribute using the name of the instance, you only affect the value of that particular instance. All the other instances are unchanged, and that's a good thing. Now, let's move on here, and now I want to change the class attribute. In other words, I want to change this value right here. So now I'm accessing the car type attribute, which is a class attribute. And when I change it, I'm changing through the class. So change a class attribute through the class. And then I'm going to call the print function again because I want to see what's on the car type. So I'm going to run this program again. And if you look right here, we went from sports to standard. Now, one thing to note here, because we changed the class instance through the class, then the car type changes for all the objects. So when I print car A and car B, both of them went from sports to standard. So everything went from sports to standard. So this is the way that in my mind that I think you should use the class attribute and the instance attribute. In other words, if you want to change the class attribute, you use the class. And if you want to change a instance attribute, you use whatever instance name that you have. All right, so now I'm going to delete this code here, all the way up to here. And now I'm going to go over the way that you should not use the class or the instance attribute. All right, so here I'm changing the color through the class. Now, the color happens to be a instance variable. So I'm trying to change the color using the class. So what's going to happen here is when you run this code, this value get unchanged, and you're going to have the same result as if you were creating a variable on your class that would be equivalent to this. So I'm commenting out here, and I'm going to leave this here just for you to have a feel of what this is going to look like. Now, it's not going to create the code, but it will create a variable for you on the fly. So I'm going to run this program. And if you look right here, I changed the color, but the color got unchanged, aqua and blue, and then aqua and blue again. The color was unchanged because you never accessed the instance attribute. You just created a new attribute for the class. That's what you did. And then finally right here on line 20, if I try to print the color, well, it prints the color of the variable you just created. So this, you should not do it. All right, so let's move on. The last one that you should not do is when you try to change the class through the instance. And this for me here is the worst mistake you can make. Unless you really know what you're doing and you really want to have this side effects. But in my mind, that is a very bad programming behavior. So in this case here, I'm changing the car type, which is a class variable, and I'm using the object. So let's take a look on what happens here. So in this case here, the car A, which is aqua, the car type got changed to bed type. Now, a behavior that one may expect is that when you change the car type, which is a class variable, you would expect that all objects also got changed. But if you notice right here, that's not the case. Only the objects that you're accessing through the instance got changed. So what you did here is something similar to this right here. In other words, you just created a attribute for your instance. That's what you did here on line 17. And then when you print the values of the car through the function, then you're gonna get a different value right here. So this is very, very unexpected. So again, in my mind, you should never do these things. If you want to change the class attributes, use the car all the time for both read and writing. And if you want to change a instance attributes, you should always use the instance for both reading and writing. Alright, so that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.